Man, history made today.
Yeah.
We have a new pope.
Oh, by the way, coming up in a half hour, joining us, the Most Reverend John P. Dolan, the Bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Phoenix, will be joining us to react to the new pope.
Yeah. Saw it on TV today.
You were on Pope Watch?
A little bit. Watched the white smoke come out.
Yeah.
Thousands of people going crazy.
Absolutely.
Really a great moment, a historical moment. And I think they picked the wrong guy.
Wow. Man, coming out hot, Gaydos.
I think you have to. So
tell.
Let me get into this.
I don't know enough about the Catholic Church to be able to pass judgment.
All right. So I was raised in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed going to the Catholic Church for a lot of my life. My parents brought me there. I'm glad that they introduced me to the church. I'm glad that they introduced me to the Bible. I wasn't a big fan of Sunday school. I don't think anybody really was.
I don't think anybody's really a big fan of it.
But I quit going probably in my mid-20s.
Okay.
And it was the sex abuse scandal. And
when that blew up, and that was was all anybody was talking about with the Catholic Church.
Yeah, and it was very sad for me.
Okay.
But I found myself in church one day in my mid-20s here in Phoenix, covering this story because I worked here, and just thinking about the cover-up, how people, how priests did something so awful, and then people above them just moved them around, and then they went and did something so awful again.
Yeah, it's like it's not the crime, it's the cover-up almost,
right.
And either they covered it up or they look the other way, and I don't know if there's a distinction to be made when it comes to child abuse.
So I found myself sitting in church one day, knowing that all this was going on, biggest news story on the planet, and I'm looking at the priest who at this point in the mass had brought out a debit card machine.
Okay.
It's a little portable debit card machine.
Yeah. Where you swipe your card.
And so for 25 minutes, he decided that this was going to be what he talked about. Not God, not the church. This is how we're
about money.
We're going to ask you for money. And I'm thinking, yeah. I guess if I needed a lot of lawyers too, I'd probably hand out a debit machine. And so what I did was I got up in the middle and I left.
Wow.
And so, listen, if you're part of the Catholic Church, I think it's wonderful. I think it's great. You do what you need to do. I had to find my way to a different church. And so I say that is this the right guy? Well, the only thing I wanted, being a former Catholic, the only thing I wanted, just pick somebody who doesn't have any allegations against him when it comes to sex abuse within the church. That isn't even anywhere near it. Like that isn't alleged to do this or alleged to have hid this or alleged to have covered this up. And listen, I don't know this man. He could end up being the best pope the world has ever seen.
Pope Leo.
And I think it would be terrific. I think it would be great. And he might be. But what I'm saying is, in doing the research, you
have some questions.
It looks like there's some criticism here for this man who may have looked past some allegations and maybe mishandled or let me read you something from the Washington Post. Here's the quote from the Washington Post. In picking a 69-year-old man, they called his last name was Prevost.
Yeah.
The papal conclave looked past allegations that he had mishandled or failed to act on sexual abuse cases involving priests in both Peru and the United States.
Yeah, one was in Chicago when he oversaw or was a part of that diocese.
Yeah, so we'll go through it.
Okay.
But it goes back to my point. Hold on a second. If you're going to pick someone, first ever American becoming a pope.
Right.
The only thing that I ask, and I don't have any reason to ask this because I'm not Catholic, don't pick someone who's alleged to do anything involving children being abused. Just to pick somebody else.
Okay, I have proverbially no dog in the fight, but I have a question or a response to that. Knowing how widespread the scandal was inside the Catholic Church, it wasn't located in just one area. It was global.
Right.
Fair?
Yeah.
And again, correct me if I get any of this wrong. This is from the stuff that I remember.
Again, I'm not an expert.
Right.
I'm not a Catholic.
Is it possible that any of the cardinals who were at the conclave would have absolutely never have come across, been near, been at the same time? Is it possible that they could not? Because let me put it this way: the question right now about Pope Leo, when he was a bishop and a cardinal, was time and place. Right. Was he at the time? Was he at a place at the same time the things were happening? And it's not clear to me. Now, was he at places where things happened? Yes. But it's not clear if it was, quote unquote, under his watch.
Yeah. I mean, let's be very clear. He wasn't caught with someone. That's not what we're talking about.
No.
All right. And did he cover something? Again, there are allegations. My point is this, though, and even allegations, because he could be 100% completely clear of everything. And I certainly hope that's the case. And you know what? I'll probably give him the benefit of the doubt that he is. But if you're not, it disqualifies you in my book.
Really?
Yes. Of course it does. You can't be anywhere near this. You can't be anywhere near this scandal. If you're going to be the Pope, you cannot be anywhere near it.
But is there any Catholic leader that
better
isn't?
Be. There should. Like, my goodness, there are hundreds of people that they could have picked. I mean, all of them have been around a scandal, is what we're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think that could be the case.
Okay.
I mean, all right. So here's the one that I investigated.
Okay.
All right.
Is this the Chicago one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Reverend Richard McGrath.
Okay.
All right. Sex abuse, child pornography allegations.
Correct.
All right. The new Pope, he was in charge in Chicago in 2000, and from the Chicago Sun-Times, who did a big investigation.
They did. They looked into this a lot.
That the new Pope allowed this accused pedophile priest to live at a monastery.
Mm-hmm.
So he let a priest...
After he had been removed from his he was the leader of a Catholic high school.
Right.
And they took him out of that position because of the allegations,
okay.
Correct?
And then he let him stay at this monastery right near a Catholic elementary school and right near a daycare center. So I'm just going to say this. If I'm dropping my kid off at a daycare center and there's an accused pedophile that's living near there, I'm not happy. I don't like it. So what we do know is that he did let a priest accused of abuse stay there. And no one informed the people in the Catholic elementary school that was close.
Like the community around it was not made aware.
In the daycare center that was close. Hey, you know what? We've got this person that's staying here. So didn't say anything. I got an issue with that. I got a real issue with that. So that's one of the allegations. There's a main knock against this man that he has been perceived, that has been perceived. It's inaction on improving transparency in his order over sex abuse.
The order that he's a part of, the Augustinians.
Yes.
It is fair to say we're late to the party.
Exactly.
The party being coming out and being transparent about what had been going on. There's very little argument about that. They didn't publish lists. They weren't forthcoming with information. They were kind of a close the ranks version as opposed to others who were more transparent.
Right.
That's not an argument.
I don't think it's much of an argument.
Now, I don't know if that was his decision, but that's part of the issue.
Right. So there are a couple other, and we've got a long show here, so we're going to get to can't get to all of it right now. But there were some things that happened in Peru.
Yep. Where he was stationed,
served as a bishop in Peru. There were victims that reported alleged abuse. There was no movement to do anything there. And so again, I'm not Catholic. If you are, I respect it. I chose not to be part of the Catholic Church when I was in my 20s after, my whole life being there and just going and finding a Bible-based church. But the only thing that I wanted from the choosing of a pope was you got to have a clean slate when it comes to pedophile priests, when it comes to moving these perverts around. You've got to have a clean slate. And this man doesn't have a clean slate. Doesn't mean that he's evil. There wasn't a court that said he did this. There are allegations, and my point is, if there are allegations that are surrounding him, don't pick him.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think it's difficult because it all comes down to where were you at what time and what did you do or not do?
And he could be, again, maybe he's completely innocent.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if there are allegations, it's not fair sometimes to have allegations against you.
Especially if you're completely innocent.
But we're talking about the Pope, and we're talking about a massive scandal over decades. A horrific scandal, one of the worst scandals in world history. I'm not overplaying it.
No. With tens of thousands of victims, correct?
Right, you're right. You've got to have clean hands here. I don't know if he does. And if you don't know if he does, you pick somebody else.
I don't know if any of the 108? No, 120. I don't know if any of them would be 0 degrees of separation. I don't know. I just don't know.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.